All right, and welcome back. Continuing to work on the elevators. As you can see, I got a good portion of the elevator construction completed. This is just going to be a short video showing some of the steps that I've completed to this point. Moving on to start putting together the aft portion of each of the elevators. So now I've fast forward a little bit. I'm apparently missing some videos, but this is the left elevator, and you can see I've got a bunch of stuff piled on top. The instructions have you take a board and weight it down to try to ensure that while you're riveting that the frame is straight, and try to minimize the chance of warping the elevator as you're riveting it together. Obviously to minimize any possible flight characteristic issues later on. So here I'm riveting the reinforcing bracket for where the electric trim tab motor gets mounted into, and then finishing up some other points along the elevator. And as you might have saw there, you leave a portion of the skins unriveted until the very end, so you can have access to the end pieces there. So the instructions will tell you which rivets to miss or leave out, and it'll tell you later, several steps later, when to rivet those in place. And again, that's just so you can get your bucking bar inside to finish some of these rivets. So right here I'm working on, I believe this is the bracket that goes on the inner side of the elevator, where the trim tab will be connected to. Had some issues where the rivets didn't set just right, so I had to drill them out a few times, and this one actually took a little more work than I had anticipated. But I believe this is the bracket inside. It's a right angle piece that attaches the inner rib there where the horn's attached to the rear spar, just forward of where the trim tab is going to hinge. So like I said, it was not the easiest rivet to get to and to work with, and had to drill it out a few times. And you want to be careful with that. If you drill it out too many times, the more you drill it, the more chance you have to enlarge the hole, and you definitely don't want to do that. Basically, the method being you drill it into the head of the rivet just enough to pop the head, and then try to drill the body of the rivet out as in the center of the rivet as you can, to try to minimize any chance of enlarging that hole. So through this, just going through, like I said, working on that bracket there, and then from this point it'll be a matter of setting up the rest of the rivets. Once you get everything, once you no longer need access to the inside of the skins, then you rivet the remaining rivets of the skin, and they're all exterior, so you can get access to them from the outside, either with the rivet gun and bucking bar or with the squeezer. Just go through and make sure that you want to make sure you get all the riveting done that you need access inside the skins first. Just double check before you close it up. You can always drill it out again, but again, you run the risk of enlarging the hole the more often that you are drilling those holes out. So this is the left elevator. Obviously, I'll get to the point where I'll get the right elevator and get them both to the same point. As you're setting these rivets here along the piano hinge, you really want to be careful with the pneumatic squeezer that you don't accidentally squeeze the ring of the hinge where the piano pin or the wire will go through. There was one or two where I was questionable whether I got too close and accidentally squeezed those or not, but since this video I've been able to fit the hinge, and it works just fine, so I was fortunate, but definitely want to be careful with that. Here I'm talking to my dad, who's just off camera. You know, as I've said before, he likes to come out and see what I'm doing and where I'm at with the build, and kind of get an eye for how the progress is coming. And then one of the last steps is to finish riveting the inner rib here to the skin. So we'll get that all aligned, and then this elevator will pretty much be ready, with the exception of the aft ribs and the trailing edge. So at this point, I still have the trim tab to construct and the aft ribs to glue in place, along with the trailing edge wedge for both elevators and the trim tab. So getting along. A few more videos. As I said before, hopefully it'll be done in the next few days with the elevators, and we'll be able to start working on the fuselage. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time around.